Welcome back to Timeless Messages from the I Ching. This is Stephen. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. So the question for today's video is, what are the most important messages for the viewers at the time they find this video? Most important messages for viewers at the time they find this video. Whether that's in 2 months, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, 100 years from the posting date, it doesn't matter. Your divine self has brought you here for a reason, to help you with various messages in your current life situation. And the 2 hexagrams that came through are number 26, the taming power of the great, and number 56, the wanderer. So if you'd like to have some stress reduction, perhaps close your eyes if you're able to and have some relaxation, some deep breathing. That would be great. If you're unable to do that, you got to do the dishes or something else. I hope you enjoy whatever you're doing while you're listening to this. So, without further ado, number 26, the taming power of the great. The creative is tamed by Ken, keeping still. Keeping still, the mountain is on top. This produces great power, a situation in contrast to that of the 9th hexagram, the taming power of the small. In the taming power of the small, the creative is tamed by the gentle alone. There, 1 weak line must tame 5 strong lines. But in this current hexagram of the taming power of the great, 4 strong lines are restrained by 2 weak lines. So 2 yin or feminine lines are holding these strong yang masculine lines back. In addition to a minister, there is a prince. So the 4th and 5th positions, the minister in the 4th and the prince in the 5th line. And the restraining power, therefore, is far stronger. The hexagram has a threefold meaning, expressing different aspects of the concept. Holding firm. Heaven within the mountain gives the idea of holding firm in the sense of holding together. The trigram Ken, which holds the trigram Chien still, gives the idea of holding firm in the sense of holding back. So we have holding together and holding back. And the third idea is that of holding firm in the sense of caring for and nourishing others. This last idea is suggested by the fact that a strong line at the top, the very top yang line, which is the ruler of the hexagram, is honored and taken care of as a sage. The third of these meanings also attaches specifically to this top strong line, which represents the sage. So we have the mountain on top, which is Ken, keeping still, which has a downward movement. The creative heaven has an upward movement. The two of them come together. But because the creative heaven wants to move so rapidly and quickly and has such strong power, Ken does it a service by helping it to slow down, to be tamed. So moving on to the judgment, the taming power of the great. Perseverance furthers. Not eating at home brings good fortune. It furthers one to cross the great water. Not eating at home means getting out of the house, essentially. Getting in the social environment with others. Crossing the great water. Well, you're not crossing a small puddle. You're doing something more significant, taking on a larger project. Or accomplishing something that has more significance. To hold firmly to great creative powers and to store them up, as set forth in this hexagram, there is a need for a strong, clear-headed person who is honored by the ruler. The trigram Chien, the heaven, points to strong creative power. Ken indicates firmness and truth. Both of these trigrams point to light and clarity, and to the daily renewal of one's character. Only through such, only through such daily renewal, self-renewal, can a person continue at the height of their powers. Force of habit helps to keep order in quiet times, but in periods where there is a great storing up of energy, everything depends on the power of the personality. However, since the worthy are honored, as in the case of the strong personality that is entrusted with leadership by the ruler, it is an advantage not to eat at home, but rather to earn one's bread by entering upon public office, meaning going out into the public domain. Okay, being around others, interacting with others. Such a person is in harmony with heaven. Therefore, even great and difficult undertakings, such as crossing the great water, will succeed. The image, heaven within the mountain, the image of the taming power of the great. Thus a superior person acquaints themselves with many sayings of antiquity and many deeds of the past in order to strengthen their character. Heaven within the mountain points to hidden treasures. In the words and deeds of the past there lies hidden a treasure that people may use to strengthen and elevate their own characters. The way to study the past is not to confine oneself to mere knowledge of history, but through application of this knowledge to give actuality, to give reality, to give truth to the past. So you're going to confirm the validity of the past by not just confining yourself to learning about the past, but applying the wisdom from the past to your life. Excuse me. The first changing line is the 9 in the first place. 9 at the beginning means danger is at hand. It furthers one to desist, essentially to stop. A person wishes to make a vigorous advance, but circumstances present an obstacle. A person sees themselves held back firmly, and if they should attempt to force an advance, it would lead them into misfortune. Therefore, it is better for this person to compose themselves and wait until an outlet is offered to release their stored up energies. So this paints a picture that you may be wanting to make a vigorous advance, but you're presented with an obstacle and you're being held back firmly. So if you try to advance forcibly, to force an advance, it'll lead to misfortune. So it's better to just compose yourself and wait for the right moment to unfold. Maybe the right moment hasn't arrived yet for you to present this idea to someone, to take this action, to make whatever this is that's being considered in your life, to make this occur. So in this situation, the obstacle is actually a blessing for you because it's allowing you to wait for the right time to compose yourself and to allow your energies to be more harmonized and to wait for an outlet to release your stored up energies. 9 in the second place. The axle trees are taken from the wagon. Axle trees are the metal rods that hold the axles on a wagon, and so the wagon's not going anywhere because the wheels can't even be on the wagon because the axles that are held on by the axle trees are no longer there. Here advance is checked, just as in the third line of the taming power of the small. However, in the latter, the restraining force is slight. Thus, a conflict arises between the advancing and the restraining movement, and as a result of which the spokes fall out of the wagon wheels. That's in the previous hexagram, number 9, the taming power of the small. While in this hexagram, the restraining force is absolutely superior, hence no struggle takes place. You submit and remove the axle trees from the wagon. In other words, you content yourself with waiting. Okay, the axle trees, the image of removing those axle trees, or the wheels, we'll just say you're removing the wheels from the wagon. It can't even go forward, okay? And you're okay with that. You're content with waiting. And in this way, energy accumulates for your vigorous advance later on. So this is all about the timing, all about you getting the right moment, waiting for that right moment to click into place, and then you can have the vigorous advance that you're seeking. 6 in the fourth place, the headboard of a young bull. Great good fortune. This line and the one following it are the two that tame the forward-pushing lower lines. The forward-pushing lower lines are the creative heaven. All yang lines wanting to push up forcibly, but the creative needs to be restrained, and the keeping still mountain helps that to occur. Before a bull's horns grow out of its head, a headboard is fastened to its forehead, so that later, when the horns appear, they cannot do harm. A good way to restrain wild forces is to forestall it, meaning you check it before it becomes a problem. So by doing so, you achieve an easy and a great success. So be sure to put a board on your forehead to prevent your horns from doing any harm to others. Just being silly. But really, that's painting a picture of you taming the forward pushing power. You want to move forward, and that's great. But it's important for you to tame that power right now, because it's not the right time to push forward and to have that great advance. And if you can restrain that power, then you won't do any harm. You'll restrain that energy, and you'll later, when the time is right, you'll achieve an easy and a great success. So the whole idea of the taming power of the great is essentially taming power. Okay, you're taming the desire to move forward forcibly, and you're checking that so that the right time occurs and you're able to make that vigorous advance and have that success that you're waiting for. Okay? Time is not quite right, though. Moving on from number 26, we go to the Wanderer, number 56. Here we have on the top trigram the clinging fire, which is also known as lightning, and the lower trigram, keeping still, mountain. The mountain can stand still. Above it, fire, flames up and does not linger, does not delay. Therefore, the two trigrams do not stay together. They move in opposite directions. The mountain is so heavy it moves downward, and the fire or the lightning moves upward. Strange lands and separation are the wanderer's lot. So strange lands and separation can indicate that you are in a strange land. Maybe you're in a foreign country or getting ready to go to a foreign country, a foreign land. Maybe you're moving into a new residence, a new location. May feel strange to you. Could be a geographic thing, but oftentimes this can be an internal thing where you feel like you're in a strange place, emotionally, psychologically, like you are a wanderer internally. The judgment, the wanderer, success through smallness. Perseverance brings good fortune to the wanderer. When a person is a wanderer and a stranger, they should not be gruff nor overbearing. Well, essentially, gruff means you don't want to be grumpy, you don't want to be harsh, bad-tempered. And overbearing, you don't want to be tyrannical, you don't want to be pushy, you don't want to be bossy. Because you have no large circle of acquaintances, you should not give yourself airs. You shouldn't put on a show. You must be cautious and reserved. And in this way, you protect yourself from evil. So caution and reserve. If you are obliging toward others, you win success. So essentially, if you're open to others' ideas, if you're not going to always try to tell other people, well, it's got to be done this way. Listen to me. Don't take the high-handed approach. Or heavy-handed approach. A wanderer has no fixed abode. The wanderer's home is the road. Therefore, the wanderer must take care to remain upright and steadfast, meaning continually do what's right, so that you travel only in the proper places and associate only with good people. So don't associate with questionable people, and don't travel to places that you think might be not healthy or good for you to be. Then you will have good fortune, and you can go your way untroubled by others, unmolested by others. The image, fire on the mountain, the image of the wanderer, thus the superior person, is clear-minded and is cautious in imposing penalties and extends no lawsuits. When grass on a mountain takes fire, there is bright light. However, the fire does not linger in one place, but rather the fire travels on to find new fuel. It's a phenomenon of short duration. This is what penalties, punishments, and lawsuits should be like. Penalties, lawsuits, and punishments should be a quickly passing matter, and they must not be dragged out indefinitely. Prisons and jails ought to be places where people are lodged only temporarily, as guests are. Prisons and jails must not become dwelling places. So just like the fire that searches for new fuel and moves on, but doesn't linger in one place. You are this fire. You are this wanderer. You're not going to stay in one place. You're not going to get fixated on something. If there's a punishment or there's some sort of penalty that needs to be extracted, some sort of karma, maybe someone has done something in your life or said something behind your back or these types of situations that has made you upset or suspicious. And perhaps you need to say something to that person and perhaps communicate a little bit of displeasure with their behavior. Make sure that you don't do it in such a way that you're going to be pushy or overbearing or bad-tempered or grumpy. If you need to say something, if something needs to be pointed out, it should be a quickly passing matter and shouldn't be dragged out indefinitely. So there may be some karma. This could be even for yourself. It could be that maybe you've said or done something that's offended someone and someone might be speaking to you. But hopefully it will be a quickly passing matter and won't be dragged out indefinitely. But more than likely, it's probably someone else that has said or done something that has been either offensive or has compromised your ability to move forward in some direction, to lead another person. Maybe people speaking behind your back can take many different manifestations. So you may need to address it. Do so in a very cautious and reserved way. Don't drag it out. Try not to linger on it, just like fire doesn't linger in one place but travels on to new fuel. So don't extend any punishment. Don't make it a long process, and don't stay in that place. Don't make people feel like they're in prison or in jail, and don't make yourself feel like you're in a prison or a jail. You must not dwell in those places. And if you have been feeling like you're in a prison or a jail because you don't have any fixed abode as the wanderer, then it's important for you to free yourself from that mentality, from that situation that you find yourself in that's inspiring you to feel bound, inspiring you to feel jailed or imprisoned. So don't let the prison that you may find yourself in right now become a dwelling place, but move on just like fire moves on to find new fuel. So both hexagrams can indicate the situation that you find yourself in right now, or have been in, or soon entering into, or are beginning to move out of. So on one side of the coin we have the taming power of the great, which essentially is saying put the brakes on, don't move forward with something, and tame that energy that you want to have a strong advance, but the time has not quite arrived. So be cautious, let your energy build, and when the right time comes, flipping over to the wanderer, express yourself in ways that are not grumpy, not pushy, because you don't have a large circle of support. Therefore, you have to be cautious and reserved. And in this way, you'll protect yourself from negative consequences. And if you can be open and receptive to others, you'll win success. Because as a wanderer, you don't have a fixed home. Your home is the road. Now, this can be metaphorically. It doesn't have to be a reality of, you really don't have a home, although it could. It could be that for some people. But more than likely, it's more about an emotional, psychological state that you're experiencing right now. So you have to be very careful and reserved. You have to just persistently do what's right. Travel only in the places that are good, and associate only with the people that are good as well. Then you'll have good fortune, and no one's going to trouble you or create problems for you. Also, if there has been some sort of situation where you've had a disagreement, or someone's done something behind your back, said something behind your back that has been difficult or problematic for you to move forward and have your influence and power in a positive way, then have that conversation, but do so in a courteous way. Okay. Don't drag out any type of displeasure with another person, such as dragging out a punishment or a lawsuit. Make it a quickly passing matter, and then no prison or jail will hold you, nor will it hold the other person. It'll be explained, it'll be communicated, and you can move on and not get stuck. So those are the messages that I have right now. Wait for the right time. It'll be very clear to you when the right time happens to bring this topic up. And I hope these messages help you. I would listen to this once again and maybe jot down some of the most important messages and begin to incorporate them into your life. Thanks for tuning in, and take care.